My name is Paige Wood, and I'm the same age as in the original story. I never thought I'd be the kind of woman telling a story like this, but I should have known something was wrong long before he ever said the words open relationship. It didn't start dramatically, it never does. It started with comments, casual ones, the kind you don't argue with because they sound thoughtful. He'd talk about how relationships evolve, how people change, how modern love isn't meant to be so rigid, how we shouldn't trap each other just because we'd been together for years. I thought he was just being reflective, philosophical, trying to sound deep. Turns out he was laying the groundwork. One night over dinner, he finally said it. "I've been thinking," he said, spinning his fork through his pasta. "Maybe we should try an open relationship." I waited for the joke, for the smile, for the just kidding. None came. I set my glass down slowly. "An open relationship?" He nodded, calm, rehearsed. Like this wasn't a grenade he'd just dropped between us. "I just feel like we've been together so long," he continued. "I love you, I really do. But I think before we fully settle down, we should be open to new experiences." Before we settle down, I leaned back in my chair, studying him. "So, you want to sleep with other people?" He sighed like I was being childish. "It's not just about sex, Paige, it's about growth, freedom. I don't want us to feel trapped." Oh, I understood perfectly. This wasn't about freedom, it was about permission. And he wasn't finished. "I know you," he said gently, reaching for my hand. "You're not the type to chase random guys. That's not really you." There it was, the compliment that doubled as a cage. "Not really me?" I repeated. He smiled knowingly. "You're loyal, emotionally mature. You don't need meaningless flings." Translation: you're the safe option. Stay put. Then he delivered the second trap. "And honestly," he added casually, "it's different for men and women. If I explored something, it would be meaningful. But you? I just don't think you'd even want that." So if I said no, I was insecure. If I said yes, I was betraying him. Either way, he won. I stayed quiet. And that's when I saw it. The certainty in his eyes. The satisfaction. He had already decided how this would go. He thought I'd wait patiently while he lived a double life. What he didn't know was that I had just figured him out. And once I did, I felt something unexpected. Calm. I didn't agree right away. If I had, he would have grown suspicious. So I played the part. "I don't know," I said slowly. "This doesn't feel right." He softened immediately, squeezing my hand. "I know, baby, but this is what's best for us." For him, I let him talk. About trust, about honesty, about how he wasn't replacing me, just expanding his experiences. And while he spoke, I started watching. I kept playing my role. Not angry, not emotional, just thinking. That's what he liked most, that I wasn't making things difficult. He mistook my silence for acceptance, my restraint for weakness. And the more patient I seemed, the sloppier he became. He started checking his phone constantly, texting late at night, stepping out of the room to take calls he never used to hide. When I asked about it, he shrugged it off. Work stuff. Friends. Nothing serious. Funny how nothing serious always needed privacy. A few days later, he fell asleep early on the couch. The TV was still on, volume low. His phone lay face up beside him, screen glowing. Unlocked. I told myself not to look. I told myself trust mattered. I told myself I didn't need proof. But curiosity is louder when your gut is already screaming. I glanced down. One name stopped me cold. Lena. His ex-girlfriend. The one he'd sworn was ancient history. The one he'd reconnected with right around the time he started talking about growth. The last message sat there, bold and unmistakable. "I can't wait to finally have you the way I always wanted." Now that she knows, everything feels easier. My stomach tightened, not with shock, but with confirmation. So that was it. The open relationship wasn't an idea, it was an alibi. He hadn't been asking for permission. He'd been asking for forgiveness in advance. He wanted me to normalize his cheating before it even officially began. I locked his phone and placed it back exactly where it had been. I didn't cry. I didn't wake him. I didn't confront him. I went to bed next to a man who thought he was smarter than me and slept better than I had in weeks. The next morning, I sat him down. I rubbed my temples, sighed, looked conflicted. "I've been thinking about what you said," I began. His posture changed immediately, attentive, hopeful. "I don't love it," I continued carefully, "but maybe we can try it." The relief on his face was instant, poorly hidden, almost joyful. He kissed me, calling me mature, evolved, understanding. He launched into a list of rules: boundaries, honesty, communication, all the things people say when they want to sound ethical while doing something selfish. That night, he told me he was meeting friends for drinks. I smiled and wished him fun. I knew exactly where he was going, and with whom. The second the door closed behind him, I picked up my phone. I didn't look for a stranger. I didn't download an app. I didn't act impulsively. I made one deliberate choice. I texted Maya, his close friend, someone I'd always gotten along with, but never been especially close to. Hey, want to grab a drink? I could use some honesty. She replied almost immediately. Funny timing. Yeah, I do. One drink turned into two. Two turned into truth. She didn't seem surprised when I told her everything. The open relationship, the ex, the lies. I knew it, she said, shaking her head. I've never trusted how he handles commitment. Then she looked at me, really looked at me, and smiled softly. You deserve better than this, Paige. That was when I realized something important. This wasn't about revenge. It was about choosing myself and watching him realize too late that I was never the one he controlled. After that night, something shifted. Not loudly, not dramatically, just enough for him to feel it, even if he couldn't name it. He came home late, smelling like cologne he never wore for me anymore, confidence loose and careless. He kissed my cheek like he always did, asked how my night was. Nice, I said. Simple, neutral. He smiled, satisfied. In his mind, everything was working exactly as planned. He had his freedom. He had Lena. And I was still here, calm, steady, waiting. What he didn't realize was that I wasn't waiting. I was moving. Maya and I kept talking. At first it was just messages, checking in, sharing observations, filling in gaps neither of us could ignore anymore. She told me things I'd never known, how often he'd complained about feeling restricted, how he always needed admiration from someone new, how Lena had been orbiting him for weeks before he ever brought up the open relationship. It wasn't gossip. It was clarity. One night, Maya and I met again. Nothing romantic. Just wine, low music, and the kind of honesty that only happens when illusions are already gone. You know what bothers me most? She said. He really thought you wouldn't do anything. I smiled into my glass. He still does. A few days later, he casually asked, So, have you met anyone yet? I shrugged. Just talking to people. His shoulders relaxed instantly. Good. Then Maya posted the photo. It wasn't scandalous, no touching, no captions about love. Just the two of us, sitting close, smiling, looking easy. Her caption was simple. Funny how clarity changes everything. I didn't check my phone right away. But when I did, messages, missed calls, more messages. What is this supposed to mean? Are you trying to embarrass me? This isn't what we agreed on. I didn't reply. That night, he showed up where we were having dinner. He didn't yell at first. He never does, not when people are watching. He stood there, jaw tight, eyes locked on me, like I'd broken a rule only he was allowed to bend. Are you serious right now? He asked quietly. I looked up at him, calm, grounded. About dinner? I asked. Yeah, I'm serious. Maya didn't flinch. She just sipped her drink, unbothered. You weren't supposed to actually do this, he hissed. I tilted my head. Do what? This, he snapped, gesturing between us. With her. The irony almost made me laugh. You mean follow the rules? I said evenly. The ones you made? People nearby were listening now, watching. His face flushed, anger tangled with something worse. Fear, because for the first time he understood something was slipping out of his control, and there was nothing he could do to stop it. He stood there for a moment too long. Long enough for the room to notice. Long enough for the power to fully leave him. Let's talk, he said finally, voice tight. Not here. I didn't raise my voice. I didn't need to. There's nothing left to explain, I said. You were very clear about what you wanted. His eyes flicked to Maya, then back to me, searching for the version of me that used to soften, to compromise, to protect his image. She wasn't there anymore. This isn't fair, he said, quieter now. You're doing this to hurt me. I smiled, not cruelly, not triumphantly, just honestly. No, I said. I'm doing this because I stopped hurting myself. That was when the truth finally landed. This wasn't about rules or freedom or open relationships. It was about control, and the moment he lost it, he left shortly after that, shoulders rigid, dignity fraying behind him. I didn't follow. I didn't text. I didn't explain myself to anyone. I didn't have to. The fallout came fast. Lena found out the truth. Not the version he sold her, but the full picture, the lies, the manipulation, the way he'd framed me as a passive placeholder while promising her something real. Someone had filmed the confrontation at the restaurant. Someone always does. The video spread quietly, then quickly. By the time Lena saw it, she already knew. She'd never been chosen. She'd just been convenient. She ended things over text. Poetic, really. A few days later, my phone buzzed. I hope you're happy, he wrote. I stared at the message for a long moment, Then I typed back exactly one sentence. I am. Thank you for finally making it possible. I blocked his number. No speech, no closure talk, no looking back. Maya raised her coffee cup when I told her. Well, she said, smirking, that was satisfying. I laughed. Not the brittle kind I'd been carrying for months, but the real kind. The kind that comes from relief. He thought he was setting the rules. He thought he was managing the outcome. He thought I'd always be there, waiting. What he never considered was what would happen once I stopped playing the role he assigned me. I didn't win a game. I walked away from one, and that changed everything.